tell me a little bit about your story.
Okay, so usually my story takes 45 minutes, but I'll give you a bridge version.
Okay.
Because I do it as a information speech. When I was 19, I had just gotten out of basic training in AIT, so I was going into my National Guard unit. The day before, I got hit by a tractor trailer, and literally it crushed the car. So I'm paralyzed with my chest down, so my chest down, and I can't feel or move anything. My legs will spasm on their own, so don't be like, oh my god, what's going on? And that was in 1991. So I've been in a wheelchair ever since. I've done a lot. I've always tried to make my world and everyone else's world more accessible, and I meant like for anybody, not just people with wheelchairs and people with disabilities, but everybody needs their world to be accessible to them, and often it's not. So as time went on, I started noticing that sometimes the simplest and cheapest even solution is the best one, but it's not always the one that everyone thinks. So in going to hotels and wheeling around town, because I work with adults with disabilities since 2001. Understand you're putting more weight on the front tires than you catch everything. Okay? You stop, don't worry, I'll help you out. Don't take your feet off of that footrest. They don't flip away or anything, so if you're thinking, oh, I gotta stop, you put your feet out, you might break your ankle, you might hurt yourself. I don't want to do that. Okay? So try not to lean back too far. If you sit upright, okay, you can feel that balance. Okay? Okay, I'll be around you, I'll make sure you don't flip over. If you're gonna do it, tuck your head and just fall over. It's really not that big of a deal. Okay. Go right up the middle. Okay. Pop it up. There you go. Yeah. So it gives you a little bit of warning. We're able to avoid that, but that's so
Every time. I mean, I'm surprised I didn't. Yeah. I only saw it, and then it's like I got to go around it.
Because describe to me what you just
and when you're caught on it and you can't go forward,
And you're on an incline.
yeah, that goes into the road. What do you do?
Kind of scary.
the crazy part about it is you feel how unstable and bumpy you feel.
I mean, as a person walking, you kind of get that sense. Once you take your legs out of it and you're on wheels, yeah.
What do you say?
He just wants to know what was it like trying to get past that? What's it like every day trying to get past that?
It's hazardous. It's, you know, some people call this the Congo. That's what they call Congo Street, because it's hazardous. You're taking your life in your own hands and you cross the street. No joke. I thought someone was being funny. Ha ha ha! You take your life in your hands and cross any street. No, you're really, you know, because people aren't paying attention. People run the red light all the time, and it's hard.
What about that?
That'll take your tire out. That'll rip, literally, that'll rip right through my tire. Oh, that's, there was a sign there telling you bounced the curb and knocked it off. Or, well, sometimes the city DOT guys take up the signs. This should, you don't have to worry instead of making it flat, they made it bumpy. Why would you make something bumpy? You know? You paid for that.
For those living with a disability, it's even more treacherous.
Yeah, we spoke to one man who's trying to spur change in his community to make getting around a little easier.
Oh, we're still on. I'm sorry, Facebook.
Yeah.
I got so such into that.
Yeah.
I know. I was watching this.
That's
Because it is really interesting. So do you want to just sort of explain?
Yes. So this gentleman, Mike, is wheelchair bound. He had a car accident, and he actually took Portland Mayor Ethan Strimling on a kind of wheelchair tour, so to speak, of some of these really hard to navigate spots of downtown Portland for people who walk every day. When we see a bumpy sidewalk, we kind of just walk and adjust and walk right over it. You see a crack in the road, you just step right over it. In a wheelchair, obviously, that can be a lot more difficult. Going over things like cobblestone, brick, big holes in the sidewalk can be difficult. So he brought the mayor on a trip. We asked him, hey, could we tell your story and kind of what you're trying to do? Because he's done a lot of education and outreach trying to get these crosswalks changed. And so many of them were built before the Americans with Disabilities Act. So anyway, really cool story. It was fun to kind of hang out with him and learn a little bit about what his life is like, and like it is for so many people who live with a disability. Vivian says the cobblestones are a pain for a lot of people, but hopefully they can get better or more tires for the wheelchairs used outside too. And that was one thing I was talking about with Mike. His tires are filled with air. Now I'm honestly not a wheelchair expert. I probably should have asked him this, to be honest. I don't know how many wheelchair tires, how frequent it is that a wheelchair tire is filled with air, as opposed to maybe solid rubber or something like that. But anyway, I would imagine most of them are, so it probably makes more sense if they're filled with air. So anyway, he says that when you get stuck in a cobblestone or in a rut like that, it's ripped his tire completely open. So
Wow.
flat tire in a car.
Yeah, that sounds
Except
great.
you can't go anywhere.
Sounds great.
Rebecca says those Portland sidewalks are uneven and difficult for those of us with knee problems. I can't imagine how awful it would be in a wheelchair. I hope accessibility improves. Good story. Well, thanks, Rebecca. We appreciate it. Hopefully that's what happens.
Yeah. I know for some people, we've done this story before, for some people the issue is that there are so many stores downtown that also don't have a way to get into.
Like
there's
an
no
accessible,
ramp to get
yeah.
into it. And it's just one step could get in the way,
Right.
So,
Well, and this is something, again, that I didn't get a chance to fully look into, but there's obviously a difference between what is state-owned infrastructure and then privately owned if you rent a business. And I'm not really sure literally where the line is drawn between, okay, this is your threshold, this is your door, your steps or whatever that lead into your business versus this is the sidewalk, and at what point you have to have an accessible entrance. So
Right.
I don't know, but I will work on it. I will work on that, see if I can get a follow-up.
It's a simple act many of us do every day, something we take for granted.
Everybody needs their world to be accessible to them.
Walking is no longer an option for Mike Conkright.
Literally get crushed in the car. So I've been in a wheelchair ever since.
A car crash in 1991 paralyzed Mike from the waist down. Now, he's learned a new way of life.
It's funny. Because if you don't laugh at it, then you're going to cry. And I don't have time for that.
Getting around downtown Portland's historic streets, bumpy brick and cobblestone, is not always easy.
Some people call this the Congo. That's what they call Congo Street. Because it's hazardous. You're taking your life in your own hands when you cross the street. That cobblestone curb cut caught my chair, and I literally slid out of my chair. It's like going cross country in a four-wheel drive through the woods. Literally, it feels like that.
Mike challenged Mayor Ethan Strimling to feel it for himself.
It teaches you when you're actually in a wheelchair the difference between what a smooth sidewalk might look like and what it really is when you need it to be flat. That lesson has given me the insight I need to continue the work to try to make sure that our city is as accessible as possible.
According to the U.S. Census Bureau, more than 11% of people in Maine under the age of 65 lived with a disability in 2016.
I don't resent anybody. I don't hate anybody. I try to educate. There we go.
So Mike shared his perspective and spare wheelchair in a trip over some of those difficult to navigate spots.
That's horrible. These are streets that everybody should be able to go down, and not that many people can. There's solutions out there that we don't realize. Somebody's carrying around a solution, but if you don't stop and talk to them, you're not going to find that out.
The Americans with Disabilities Act requires a number of regulations on state and local infrastructure that was built after January 26, 1992. However, state and local governments are not always required to modify construction built before that time. Mayor Strimling says he's talking with the city manager about securing funds to update many of the walkways across Maine's largest city.